The military transport ship shook as it docked with Outpost Sigma-9. Captain Taeho Kim grabbed his bag and stood at attention. His new uniform felt stiff and unfamiliar against his skin. He had been wearing battle armor for so long that regular clothes felt wrong. "Captain Kim, welcome to Outpost Sigma-9, said a voice over the speaker. "Please proceed to the main airlock." Taeho walked through the narrow corridor. Each step was heavy with memories he wanted to forget. 3 months ago, he had been leading a squad in the Battle of Proxima Centauri. Now he was being sent to guard alien animals at a research station. Everyone knew this assignment was a punishment. HFY? Airlock doors opened with a hiss. A woman in a white lab coat waited for him. She had short black hair and tired eyes. "Captain Kim, I am Dr. Ji-woo Park, head scientist of this facility," she said, extending her hand. "We expected you yesterday." The transport was delayed," Taeho said, shaking her hand briefly. "I am ready to begin my duties immediately." Dr. Park nodded. "Follow me, I will show you around." Outpost Sigma-9 was a ring-shaped station that orbited a large gas giant planet. The outer ring contained living quarters and common areas. The inner part held laboratories and containment units. The whole station smelled of antiseptic and recycled air. "We study captured alien life forms here," Dr. Park explained as they walked. "Most were weapons used by the Vakari Empire during the war. Your job is to ensure they remain secure. Some are extremely dangerous." Taeho nodded silently. Everyone knew about the Vakari Empire and their biological weapons. The galactic conflict had lasted 6 years. Earth forces had finally pushed back the Vakari 3 months ago, but the damage was done. Millions dead. Planets ruined. "This is the Central Security Office," Dr. Park said, pointing to a room filled with screens. "You will have 4 officers under your command. They are good soldiers but need firm leadership." They continued their tour through the laboratories. Scientists in protective suits worked on samples behind clear barriers. Some looked up as Taeho passed, their eyes curious. Everyone knew his name. Everyone knew what had happened at Proxima Centauri. "What exactly do you study here?" Taeho asked, breaking his silence. "Ways to better protect ourselves if the Vakari attack again," Dr. Park said. "Their biological weapons are far superior to anything we have. We need to understand how they work." They turned a corner and entered a long hallway with reinforced doors on each side. Each door had a small window and digital monitor showing vital signs. "These are our most important specimens," Dr. Park said. "They require special security clearance to access." Taeho peered through one window. Inside was something like a giant insect, its 6 legs bound with metal restraints. In another room was a plant-like creature that moved when they passed. At the end of the hall was a larger containment unit. 4 armed guards stood outside. "This is our most valuable specimen," Dr. Park said quietly. "Captured 3 weeks ago, when a Vakari transport crashed on Colony 5. Taeho looked through the window. The room inside was larger than the others, and filled with a strange mist. Through the fog, he saw movement, something big and powerful. The creature came closer, to the window. Taeho didn't step back, though part of him wanted to. He had seen this kind of beast on the battlefield. Everyone had. It was a Warcat. Standing nearly 3 meters tall on its hind legs, with 4 additional limbs that could be used as arms or legs. Its body was covered in scales that shifted colors like oil on water. The head was feline in shape but with 3 eyes positioned in a triangle. Sharp teeth showed when it opened its mouth to make a clicking sound. "A Warcat," Taeho said. "I saw them tear through an entire battalion in minutes." "Yes, the Vakari's most effective ground weapon," Dr. Park confirmed. "This one is special, though. When the transport crashed, it escaped and was cornered by colonial militia. There were children present in the colony. When threatened, most Warcats fight to the death. This one surrendered." Taeho looked at the creature more carefully. It was watching him with 3 unblinking eyes. Its breathing seemed labored, chest rising and falling in an uneven rhythm. "Is it sick?" he asked. Our atmosphere is toxic to it, Dr. Park explained. We maintain a special mix in the chamber, but it's not perfect. We are still learning about its biology. The Warcat made another clicking sound and placed one clawed hand against the window. Tai-Ho noticed it had 6 digits, each tipped with a retractable claw. It's been designated K09, Dr. Park said. One of your duties will be monitoring it daily. Keep emotional distance. These creatures were designed to kill humans. Never forget that. Tai-Ho nodded, but something about the way the Warcat watched him made him wonder if there was more to understand. Here. Your quarters are in Section D, Dr. Park said. Rest today. You begin your duties tomorrow morning. The security codes have been sent to your tablet. After Dr. Park left, Tai-Ho went to his new quarters. The room was small but private, with a bed, desk, and small bathroom. His few possessions took only minutes to unpack. He sat on the bed and activated his tablet. Along with the security codes, he had access to files about the station and its specimens. He opened the file on Warcat K09. The report detailed the crash and capture. There were photos of the damaged Vakari ship and the colonial militia surrounding the surrendered Warcat. One photo showed the creature standing with its arms raised, surrounded by humans pointing weapons at it. In the background, behind a barrier, were the faces of frightened children. Tai-Ho zoomed in on the Warcat's face in the photo. Its expression was hard to read, but he had seen enough fear in his years of fighting to recognize it in any species. The report ended with a note. Specimen scheduled for complete biological analysis in 7 days. Priority: respiratory system and neural pathways. Tai-Ho knew what complete biological analysis meant. The Warcat would be cut open and studied. It would not survive the process. He closed the tablet and lay back on his bed. Sleep did not come easily. When it did, he dreamed of battlefields and the sound of clicking in the darkness. The next morning, Tai-Ho woke early and put on his uniform. His first official duty was to inspect the containment areas. He decided to start with K09. The guards saluted as he approached. He nodded and entered his security code. The outer door slid open, then closed behind him. He was in a small room, between the hallway and the Warcat's chamber. Through the inner window he could see the creature lying on the floor, its breathing still uneven. A voice came through the speaker. Captain Kim, this is Dr. Mina Seo. I'm monitoring K009's vitals. Do you need assistance? No, Tai-Ho replied, just doing my inspection. He watched the Warcat for several minutes. It seemed to be sleeping, though its breathing was troubled. As he turned to leave, one of its eyes opened and looked directly at him. In that moment, something passed between them. A recognition. Tai-Ho had seen the same look in the eyes of wounded soldiers who knew they were dying. The Warcat was not just a weapon. It knew what was coming. As he walked away, Tai-Ho made a decision. Before the week was over, he would find a way to communicate with K009. If it was intelligent enough to surrender to save children, it deserved at least the dignity of being understood before it died. What he didn't know then was that this decision would change not only his life but the course of human and alien relations forever. For 3 days, Tai-Ho followed the normal routine of the station. He checked security systems, led his team on patrols, and filed reports. But each day, he spent a little more time watching K09, the Warcat. The creature seemed aware of his presence. When Tai-Ho stood at the window, the Warcat would often move closer, watching him with its 3 eyes. Its breathing was getting worse. Tai-Ho could see the effort each breath took. On the 4th night, when the station was quiet, Tai-Ho returned to the containment area alone. The night guards nodded to him as he approached. Just doing an extra check, he told them. You can take a break if you want. When they were gone, Tai-Ho entered his code and stepped into the small room between the hallway and the Warcat's chamber. Through the inner window, he could see K009 lying on the floor, not moving except for the rise and fall of its chest. Tai-Ho pressed the intercom button. Can you understand me? He asked. The Warcat's head lifted slightly, 3 eyes focused on him. I don't know if you can understand human speech, Tai-Ho continued, but I think you're smart. Smarter than they believe. The Warcat made a series of clicks and soft purring sounds. It struggled to its feet and walked to the window. Standing at its full height, it towered over Taiho. Its scales shifted colors, moving from deep purple to blue. Taiho raised his hand, slowly, and placed it against the window. After a moment, the Warcat raised one of its 6-fingered hands and placed it against the glass opposite Taiho's. "You do understand," Taiho whispered. He pointed to himself. "Taiho," he said clearly. The Warcat made another series of clicks. It wasn't trying to repeat his name, Taiho realized. It was telling him its own. The next night, Taiho brought a tablet. He showed the Warcat simple pictures and watched its reactions. The creature seemed eager to learn. It would tap the window when it recognized something or make different clicking sounds for different images. Taiho created a simple picture language. A circle for yes, a square for no. Pictures for basic needs like food, water, and rest. The Warcat learned quickly. 1 week became 2. Taiho's visits became longer. He would talk to the Warcat about his day, about Earth, about the war. He wasn't sure how much it understood, but it always watched him with those 3 unblinking eyes, making soft clicking sounds in response. He learned that the mist in the chamber helped the Warcat breathe but wasn't perfect. He learned that it preferred the red protein blocks over the blue ones. He learned that it would pace in circles when it was thinking. Then one night everything changed. Taiho was at the window showing the Warcat pictures of animals from Earth, when a voice spoke behind him. "What are you doing, Captain Kim?" He turned, quickly. Dr. Mina Seo stood in the doorway, her eyes wide with surprise. She was younger than Dr. Park, with kind eyes and a serious face. "Dr. Seo," Taiho said, trying to hide the tablet. "I was just checking on the specimen." "With pictures of Earth animals?" she asked, stepping closer. "You're trying to communicate with it, aren't you?" Taiho looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Yes. And it's working. K009 is intelligent. It understands." Dr. Seo glanced at the Warcat, who was watching them both. "I know," she said quietly. "I've suspected for weeks. But Dr. Park doesn't want to hear it. If these creatures are intelligent, then what we're doing here is wrong." She took the tablet from Taiho's hands and looked at the picture system he had created. "This is good, but we can do better," she said. "I have something that might help." The next night, Dr. Seo joined Taiho in the small room. She brought a device that projected images onto the inner window of the Warcat's chamber. "This is a more advanced communication system," she explained. "We use it with some of the other specimens, but Dr. Park wouldn't approve its use with K009. She doesn't want to think of it as anything more than a weapon." The device showed more complex symbols and allowed the Warcat to respond by touching different areas of the window. Progress was slow at first, but within days they were having simple conversations. They learned the Warcat had a name, not K09, but a series of clicks that the computer translated as Rhea. They learned Rhea was female, and most surprisingly, they learned she had not been created in a lab as everyone believed. She had been born. "The Vakari didn't create your species?" Taiho asked one night, the translation appearing on the window. Rhea's response came as symbols that formed into words. "No. They found us, took our world, made us into weapons." "Your people were conquered?" Dr. Seo asked. "Yes, many seasons ago. Before I was born, they changed us, made us bigger, stronger, better fighters." "What is your real name for your people?" Taiho asked. "Not Warcat. That's what humans call you." Rhea made a series of soft clicks. The translator displayed, "Murasini. We are Murasini." "Why did you surrender?" "At the colony?" Dr. Seo asked. "The reports say all other Warcats, I mean Murasini, fight until death." Rhea was quiet for a long time, then, "I saw small humans, children. I have cubs. Had cubs. They were taken, for changing. I could not harm more young ones." Taiho and Dr. Seo looked at each other in shock. "You have children?" Taiho asked. "Had," Rhea corrected. 3 cubs, taken for war use, made into weapons like me." That night, Taiho couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what Rhea had told them. The Murasini weren't biological weapons created by the Vicari. They were an enslaved species, modified against their will. And Rhea was a mother whose children had been taken from her. In the morning, he went to Dr. Sio's lab. She looked as tired as he felt. "We have to do something," he said without greeting. "The analysis is scheduled in 3 days. We can't let them cut her open." "I know," Dr. Sio said. "But what can we do? Dr. Park won't listen. And even if she did, Earth Command wants information on Warcat biology. They won't care that she's intelligent." "Then we need proof," Taiho said. "Undeniable proof that the Murasini are a sentient species. There are laws protecting sentient beings even in wartime." "The Sentient Rights Accords," Dr. Sio nodded. "But we'd need more than just our word. We'd need documentation, evidence of their civilization, proof that they were conquered." "Rhea might know where to find that information," Taiho said. "We need to ask her." That night they showed Rhea images of different star systems, asking if she recognized her home world. It took hours, but finally she identified a system in the Carina arm of the galaxy. A small, rocky planet orbiting a red dwarf star. "Home," the translator displayed. "Murasi. Were there buildings? Cities?" Dr. Sio asked. "Yes. Beautiful cities, floating on great pools. We lived in harmony with water and air." "Do you know of any records? Any proof of your civilization that might still exist?" Taiho asked. Rhea's scales darkened. "Vicari destroyed much. But there are hidden places, sacred caves where history is kept. And some of us escaped. Not all Murasini serve Vicari." Taiho felt hope rise in his chest. "There are free Murasini. Where?" Before Rhea could answer, the alarm sounded. Red lights flashed in the corridor. "Security breach in Section C," announced the station computer. "All personnel report to emergency stations." Taiho ran to the door. "Stay here," he told Dr. Sio. "Keep talking to Rhea. Find out everything you can." As he rushed down the corridor, Taiho knew time was running out. Not just for Rhea, but perhaps for understanding between their species. If what she said was true, the war with the Vicari was based on a terrible mistake. The Warcats weren't the enemy. They were victims, just like the humans. For the first time since the Battle of Proxima Centauri, Taiho felt purpose returning to his life. He had failed to save his squad then. But maybe, just maybe, he could save Rhea now. The security alarm had been a false alert. A new lab assistant had entered the wrong code too many times. When Taiho returned to Rhea's containment area, Dr. Seo was still there, her face pale with worry. "What is it?" Taiho asked. "Look at her. Breathing," Dr. Seo said, pointing through the window. Rhea was lying on the floor again. Her chest moved in quick, shallow motions. The scales around her throat had turned a dull gray color. "Is she sick?" Taiho asked. "Worse than that." "She's dying," Dr. Seo said. "The air mixture we've been giving her isn't working anymore. Her body is rejecting it." Taiho pressed the intercom button. "Rhea, can you hear me?" The Warcat's eyes opened slowly. She made a weak attempt to rise but fell back. "How long does she have?" Taiho asked. "At this rate? Maybe 2 days. Certainly not until the scheduled vivisection." "We need to examine her," Taiho decided. "Really examine her, not just through the monitors. That would require Dr. Park's approval," Dr. Seo said, "and she won't give it." "Then we don't ask," Taiho said. "Tonight, when the station is quiet, can you do a medical scan without the other doctors knowing?" Dr. Seo hesitated, then nodded. "I can use the portable scanner in Lab 4. No one uses it at night." That night, they met outside Rhea's containment area. Dr. Seo carried a small medical bag with the scanner. Taiho had made sure the night guards were patrolling the opposite end of the station. "We have 20 minutes, he told her as he entered his security code. The small room between the hallway and Rhea's chamber filled with the hissing sound of airlocks equalizing. Taiho entered another code on the inner door. "Wait," Dr. Seo said. We need breathing masks. The air in there is mixed with sulfur compounds. They put on the masks from her medical bag, then entered the chamber. Up close, Rhea was even more impressive. Her scales shifted color slightly with each labored breath. Her claws, retracted now, left small indents in the metal floor where she had paced. Rhea's 3 eyes watched them as they approached. She made a soft clicking sound. "It's okay," Taiho said, kneeling beside her. "We're here to help." Dr. Seo took out the scanner and began moving it over Rhea's body. The device hummed softly, its screen filling with data. "This is amazing," Dr. Seo whispered. "Her biology is nothing like ours, but it's so perfectly adapted to her environment. Her lungs are designed to process gases that would kill us instantly." "Can you help her?" Taiho asked. Dr. Seo frowned at the scanner. "The problem is clear. Our air mix is missing key compounds from her home planet. Her lungs are designed for an atmosphere rich in sulfur, but with specific elements we don't have here." She turned the scanner to show Taiho. "See these tissues? They're dying. Essentially, she's drowning in our atmosphere even with the adjustments we've made." Rhea made a series of clicks. On Dr. Seo's tablet, the translation appeared. "I know I am dying. My people do not live long away from home air." "There must be something we can do," Taiho said, his voice rough with emotion. "I need more information," Dr. Seo said. "I need to consult with someone who knows more about alien biology than I do." Back in Taiho's quarters, they reviewed the scan data. Dr. Seo shook her head. "This is beyond my knowledge, but I know someone who might help. Dr. Junho Lee. We studied together before the war. He specializes in xenobiology." "Where is he now?" Taiho asked. "Earth, working at Central Medical. But we can't send this data through official channels. If anyone finds out we did an unauthorized scan of K09, we'll both be arrested." Taiho thought for a moment. "I know someone in communications. He owes me a favor. We can send an encrypted message that won't be tracked." The next day, they sent the scan data to Dr. Lee with an urgent message explaining the situation. While they waited for his response, Taiho spent as much time as possible with Rhea. He told her stories about Earth, about his life before the war, about the battle that had changed everything for him. "At Proxima Centauri, I had to choose," he told her. "Attack the main Vakari force or protect the civilian ships. I chose the civilians. My squad was almost completely destroyed. 28 soldiers died because of my decision." Rhea's response appeared on the translator. "You chose right. Life over death. Cubs before warriors." "Not everyone sees it that way," Taiho said. "That's why I'm here. This assignment is punishment." Strange. Punishment. To save lives is a good thing. Before Taiho could respond, his tablet beeped. A message from Dr. Lee had arrived. He and Dr. Seo read it together in her lab. "This isn't good," Dr. Seo said, her voice shaking slightly. "Dr. Lee confirms my diagnosis. Rhea's lungs are failing because they can't process our atmosphere correctly." "Does he have a solution?" Taiho asked. "Yes, but it's extreme. He says the only way to save her is with transplanted lung tissue that can process our atmosphere and convert it to something her body can use. A biological filter, essentially." "Transplant from what? Another Warcat?" "No," Dr. Seo said quietly. "From a human." Taiho stared at her. "That's impossible. Our biology is completely different. Dr. Lee says it's theoretically possible with the right modifications. The human lung tissue would need to be genetically altered to work with her system, but it would require extracting a large portion of the donor's lungs. The donor would be severely disabled at best. At worst, the donor would die." They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Taiho asked, "Has anyone ever done this kind of xenotransplant before?" "Not that I know of. It would be the first of its kind." That evening, as Taiho watched Rhea through the window, he noticed her breathing was even worse. Her scales had lost most of their color. She could barely lift her head when he called her name. Dr. Seo joined him, her face grim. "Security Chief Yang was asking questions today. He knows we've been spending time here, and the vivisection has been moved up. It's scheduled for tomorrow morning now. Tomorrow? Why? Dr. Park says K009's declining condition means they need to extract the tissue samples while they're still viable. Taiho pressed his hand against the window. Rhea struggled to raise her hand to match his. When I was a soldier, Taiho said slowly, I had genetic modifications to help me survive in hostile environments. Special lung filters for toxic atmospheres, enhanced healing, resistance to radiation. Dr. Seo looked at him sharply. What are you saying? Dr. Lee said the donor would need compatible lung tissue. Would my modified tissue work better than standard human lungs? Possibly, yes, but Taiho, you can't be thinking. Test my tissue against her scans, Taiho interrupted. See if I'm compatible. Even if you are, the procedure would take most of your lung capacity. You'd never serve as a soldier again. You might not even survive. Taiho looked at Rhea, dying slowly in her prison. I haven't been a real soldier since Proxima Centauri, he said quietly. Just a man following orders trying to forget. But this would mean something. That night in Dr. Seo's lab, they ran the compatibility tests. Taiho's modified lung tissue showed surprising compatibility with Rhea's biology. His military enhancements, designed to help him process toxic atmospheres, could potentially be adapted to help Rhea breathe Earth's air. It's possible, Dr. Seo admitted. But we'd need Dr. Park's help to perform the actual surgery. She's the only one with the necessary skills. She'll never agree, Taiho said. She sees Rhea as a specimen, not a living being with rights. There might be a way to convince her, Dr. Seo said slowly. The sentient rights accords that Earth signed after the first contact with alien life. They protect all sentient species from experimentation without consent, but we'd need proof that the Miracini are sentient. We have proof, Dr. Seo said. Our conversations with Rhea, the fact that she surrendered to protect children, her knowledge of her homeworld and history. Taiho nodded. Tomorrow morning before the vivisection, we talk to Dr. Park. If that doesn't work, then I'll do whatever it takes to save Rhea, Taiho said, even if it means going against orders, again. As he left the lab, Taiho felt lighter than he had in months. Since Proxima Centauri, he had been a man without purpose, carrying the weight of his decisions. Now, for the first time, he saw a chance at redemption. Not through forgetting, but through sacrifice. He didn't know if he would survive giving his lungs to Rhea, but he knew that if he didn't try, he would never truly live again. Morning came too quickly. Taiho and Dr. Seo met outside Dr. Park's office before the rest of the station was fully awake. Are you sure about this? Dr. Seo asked, her voice low. Taiho nodded. I've never been more sure of anything. They knocked. On the door, Dr. Park looked surprised to see them so early. Captain Kim, Dr. Seo, what is this about? The vivisection team will be ready in 1 hour. That's what we need to talk to you about, Taiho said. K009 is not just a specimen. She is sentient. Dr. Park's face hardened. This again? We've been through this, Dr. Seo. The Warcats are biological weapons, nothing more. They're called Miracini, Taiho said. And they're an enslaved species, not weapons. He placed a data tablet on Dr. Park's desk. This has records of our conversations with her, proof of her intelligence, her memory, her emotional capacity. She has a name, Rhea. She has children. Dr. Park didn't touch the tablet. Even if this were true, which I doubt, it doesn't change anything. Earth Command wants information on Warcat biology. That's our mission. The Sentient Rights Accords would disagree, Dr. Seo said. Earth signed those agreements. Experimenting on sentient beings without consent is illegal under interstellar law. We are at war, Dr. Park said coldly. Laws change in wartime. Not these laws, Taiho insisted. And there's more. Rhea is dying. The air mixture we're giving her isn't working. Her lungs are failing. All the more reason to proceed with the vivisection while the tissues are still viable. Taiho took a deep breath. There's another option. A transplant. My lungs could save her. Dr. Park stared at him. Have you lost your mind, Captain? You want to give your lungs to an enemy weapon? Not my entire lungs. Just enough tissue to create a biological filter that would help her process our atmosphere. My military enhancements make me compatible. This is absurd. The procedure has never been done before. It would likely kill you both. Dr. Junho Lee thinks it could work, Dr. Seo said. We consulted him. You sent classified data outside this station? Dr. Park stood up, her face flushed with anger. That's treason. Letting a sentient being die when we could save her is worse than treason, Taeho said quietly. It's murder. Dr. Park sat back down. Captain Kim, I'm removing you from duty effective immediately. Dr. Seo, you are confined to quarters. Security will escort you both. Before she could call for guards, the door opened. Security Chief Dong-hyun Yang walked in. Is there a problem, Dr. Park? He asked, looking at the tense faces in the room. Yes. Captain Kim and Dr. Seo have violated multiple security protocols and interfered with a scheduled procedure. Please escort them to their quarters. Chief Yang looked at Taeho for a long moment. What procedure? The vivisection of K-9, Taeho said. The Warcat, who we've discovered is sentient and belongs to an enslaved species called the Murasini. Chief Yang's face showed no surprise. I know. You know? Dr. Park asked, shocked. I've been watching Captain Kim's interactions with the specimen for weeks. At first, I thought he was just being thorough in his security checks. Then I realized he was communicating with it. Yang turned to Dr. Park. Have you seen the records of these communications? No, and I don't need to, Dr. Park said. It doesn't change our orders. It might, Yang said. The sentient rights accords are clear. If the Warcats are sentient, the vivisection would violate interstellar law. Since when does security care about interstellar law? Dr. Park snapped. Since my brother died at Proxima Centauri, Yang said, looking at Taeho. In Captain Kim's squad, the room went silent. Taeho felt a chill run down his spine. Private Jinho Yang was your brother? Yes. When I heard you were being assigned here, I requested this post. I wanted to see what kind of man would sacrifice his squad to save civilians. Yang's eyes were hard. I wanted to hate you. And now? Taeho asked. Now I've seen you risk your career to save an alien that everyone else sees as the enemy. So maybe you were right at Proxima too. Yang turned to Dr. Park. I think you should look at their evidence. Dr. Park hesitated, then picked up the tablet. Her face changed as she watched the recorded conversations with Rhea. When she looked up, her eyes were troubled. This is unexpected, but it doesn't solve the immediate problem. K-09, Rhea, is still dying. I told you my solution, Taeho said. Use my lungs. Dr. Park shook her head. The procedure would be extremely dangerous, and I'm not qualified to perform such experimental surgery. But you could do it with Dr. Lee's guidance, Dr. Seo said. He could talk you through it remotely. And what happens after? If Earth Command finds out we saved a Warcat instead of studying it, we'll all face court-martial. One step at a time, Chief Yang said. Right now we have a sentient being dying in our custody. That's our immediate concern. Dr. Park looked at each of them, then sighed. I will examine the captain's compatibility with the specimen. If, and that's a big if, I think the procedure has any chance of success, we can discuss it further. 2 hours later, they gathered in Dr. Park's lab. Taeho lay on an examination table while Dr. Park reviewed his scan results. Your military enhancements do make you uniquely compatible, she admitted. Your lung tissue has been modified to filter toxins and adapt to various atmospheres. With further modification, it might create a biological bridge between human and Murasini biology. Can you do it? Taeho asked. Theoretically, yes, but you need to understand what this means, Captain. I would need to remove approximately 70% of your lung capacity. You would never serve as a soldier again. You would need breathing assistance for the rest of your life, and there's a significant chance you won't survive the procedure at all. Taeho, nodded. I understand. Why are you doing this? Dr. Park asked. Why risk your life for her? Tahoe thought about Proxima Centauri, about the weight he had carried since that day. At Proxima, I chose to save lives instead of following orders. 28 soldiers died. I've carried that decision every day. But I would make the same choice again. He looked at Chief Yang. Your brother was brave. He knew what we were fighting for. Not just to win a war, but to protect what makes us human. Our compassion, our ability to see value in all life. Yang nodded slowly, his eyes glistening. Rhea surrendered rather than harm children. Tahoe continued. She showed the same compassion, the same humanity, that we fought to protect. If we let her die when we could save her, what was the point of any of it? What did your brother die for? The room was silent for a long moment. Then Dr. Park straightened her shoulders. I'll need to contact Dr. Lee immediately to prepare, and we'll need to adapt one of the surgical suites for the procedure. She turned to Chief Yang. Can you ensure we're not disturbed? I'll tell the guards we're performing emergency containment protocols on K009. No one will question it. The procedure will take at least 8 hours, Dr. Park warned Tahoe, and recovery, if you survive, will be extremely painful. I understand, Tahoe said again. As Dr. Seo prepared him for surgery, she asked quietly, Are you afraid? Tahoe thought about it. No, he said finally. For the first time since Proxima, I know exactly what I'm doing and why. It feels right. The last thing Tahoe saw before the anesthesia took effect was Dr. Park's face, determined and focused. The last thing he thought was of Rhea, and what it would mean for her to breathe freely again. The pain when he woke was unlike anything he had experienced before. It felt as if his chest had been hollowed out and filled with burning coals. Each shallow breath was agony, but he was breathing. He was alive. Dr. Seo's face appeared above him, tired but smiling. You made it, she said. And so did she. Through the haze of pain medication, Tahoe formed a question. Rhea? The transplant worked. Your modified lung tissue is creating a bridge between our atmosphere and her biology. She's breathing normally for the first time since she was captured. Tahoe tried to smile, but even that small movement sent pain through his chest. Worth it, he whispered. Dr. Seo squeezed his hand. Rest now. You have a long recovery ahead. As Tahoe drifted back to sleep, he felt the weight he had carried since Proxima Centauri begin to lift. He had found his redemption, not in forgetting, but in giving another chance at life, in giving another the chance to breathe free. Recovery was slow and painful. For 2 weeks, Tahoe drifted in and out of consciousness. Each breath was a struggle. His chest felt hollow and tight at the same time. The doctors had replaced the removed lung tissue with synthetic material that helped him breathe, but it would never work as well as his original lungs. Dr. Seo visited him daily, bringing updates on Rhea. The transplant had worked better than anyone expected. The modified human lung tissue was adapting to Rhea's biology, allowing her to breathe the station's air without pain. She asks about you every day, Dr. Seo told him. I think she feels connected to you now, more than just gratitude. When Tahoe was finally strong enough to sit up, Dr. Park came to see him. Her face was serious. Earth Command is sending an inspection team, she said without greeting. They want to know why the vivisection was canceled. Someone filed a report. What did you tell them? Tahoe asked, his voice weak from the breathing tube that had been removed only days before. The truth, that K009 showed clear signs of sentience and intelligence, making the procedure a violation of the Sentient Rights Accords. Dr. Park sighed. I didn't mention the transplant. Not yet. How much time do we have? 3 days. The inspection team will arrive on a military transport. Tahoe thought about what this meant. If Earth Command discovered what they had done, they would all face serious consequences. But more importantly, Rhea would become a research subject again, just in a different way. That night, with the help of Dr. Seo and Chief Yang, Taiho went to see Rhea for the first time since the surgery. He was in a wheelchair, an oxygen tube in his nose. Each bump in the corridor sent pain through his chest. When they reached the containment unit, Dr. Seo entered the code. The inner door opened without the need for breathing masks now. Rhea was standing inside, her scales shifting in bright patterns of blue and green. When she saw Taiho, she made a series of soft clicking sounds. "She's happy to see you," Dr. Seo translated. Rhea approached the wheelchair slowly. She knelt down to be at eye level with Taiho. One of her 6-fingered hands reached out tentatively and hovered near his chest. "It's okay," Taiho said. Rhea placed her hand gently on his chest. Her 3 eyes blinked in sequence. On Dr. Seo's tablet, the translation appeared. "You gave breath, greatest gift, life debt." "No debt," Taiho said. "It was the right thing to do. Now we share breath. I breathe with your lungs. You with machine." Rhea's scales darkened. "They will punish you when others come." "You know about the inspection team?" Chief Yang asked. "I hear guards talk." 3 days until human ship arrives. Rhea's next words surprised them all. "Others of my kind will come too." "What do you mean?" Taiho asked. "Murasini rebels, those who escaped Vakari. They search for captured ones like me. I feel them now. Before, too weak to sense. Now, with good breathing, I feel their minds. They are close." Dr. Seo and Chief Yang exchanged worried looks. "If rebel Warcats attack the station at the same time as the inspection team arrives," Yang said, "it will be seen as proof that the Murasini are dangerous enemies. It could make the war worse. We need to get Rhea out of here before either group arrives," Taiho said. "Can you contact the rebels, Rhea? Tell them to wait?" "Yes. Mind touch, but need quiet place. Need freedom from walls." Back in Taiho's quarters, they formed a plan. Dr. Park was reluctant but eventually agreed when she understood the stakes. If Earth Command discovers a healthy Warcat instead of research data, they'll just demand new tests, she admitted. And if rebel Warcats attack, it will only confirm every fear humans have about their species. Both sides need time to understand the truth. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would help Rhea escape in a small research shuttle, supposedly being sent to collect samples from the gas giant's rings. Chief Yang would disable certain tracking systems, making it appear to be a malfunction. Rhea would contact her people and rendezvous with them in the shadow of one of the gas giant's moons. "What about you?" Dr. Seo asked Taiho. "Without proper medical care, your condition will worsen." Taiho looked at the oxygen tank beside his bed. The pain in his chest was constant. Dr. Park had been clear. Without specialized treatment, he had months at best. "I'll stay and face the inspection team," he said. "Someone needs to explain what happened." Rhea made a series of rapid clicks. The translation read, "No, you come with me. My people have healers. Different medicine, but strong. Maybe help you." "They would help a human?" Dr. Park asked skeptically. "He carries Murasini lung tissue now. He is connected, part of tribe." The night before the inspection team was due to arrive, they put their plan into action. Dr. Seo prepared the research shuttle, while Chief Yang created a diversion in the security center. Dr. Park programmed the shuttle's course to look like a standard research mission. Taiho, still in his wheelchair, met Rhea at the shuttle bay. He carried nothing but a small bag with medication and a data crystal containing evidence of the Murasini's true nature. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Seo asked as she helped him into the shuttle. "You're leaving everything behind." "What's left for me here?" Taiho asked. "Court-martial, a medical discharge. This way I can do something that matters. Help Rhea find her people, maybe even her cubs." Dr. Seo hugged him carefully, mindful of his healing chest. "Be safe," she whispered. Chief Yang shook his hand firmly. "My brother would be proud," he said. Dr. Park was the last to say goodbye. "I've loaded all our research data on Murasini biology," she said. "It might help her people understand how the Vakari changed them. and this. She handed him a small medical kit. Medication for 3 months. After that, we'll see, Taiho said. The shuttle launched without incident. As the station grew smaller behind them, Rhea stood by the window, her scales reflecting the light of the gas giant below. Soon free, she said. Both of us. 3 days later, hidden in the shadow of the smallest moon, they made contact with the rebel Murasini ship. It was smaller than Taiho expected, clearly designed for stealth rather than combat. As their shuttle docked, Taiho felt fear for the first time since they left the station. What if the rebels saw him only as an enemy? The airlock opened. 3. Murasini stood waiting. They were similar to Rhea, but with different scale patterns. They made clicks and purrs as Rhea stepped forward, a conversation Taiho couldn't understand. Then Rhea turned and gestured for him to come forward. They welcome you, she translated, as friend of Murasini, as one who shares breath. Taiho moved his wheelchair forward cautiously. The lead Murasini approached and knelt before him. It placed a 6-fingered hand on Taiho's chest just as Rhea had done. Then it made a sound like gentle rain falling. That is blessing, Rhea explained. Great honor. Tell them I'm honored to meet them, Taiho said, and that I hope we can help each other. As the Murasini ship pulled away from the moon, Taiho looked out at the stars. For the first time since Proxima Centauri, he felt at peace. He had no idea what the future held, but he knew he was where he needed to be. 6 months later, a message reached Earth. It contained detailed information about Vakari bases where enslaved species were held. It included genetic data showing how the Murasini had been modified against their will. And it ended with an image that shocked everyone who saw it. A human man stood beside a female Warcat. Behind them were several smaller Warcats, cubs, reunited with their mother. The man was thin but standing on his own, a small breathing device at his belt, the only sign of his sacrifice. His face was peaceful. The message was brief. Judge us not by the species we were born to, but by the choices we make. There can be peace between us if we learn to see each other clearly. The message was signed, Captain Taiho Kim, Human Murasini Ambassador, and so began a new chapter in the relationship between humans and the species they had only known as weapons of war. It would not be easy. There would be setbacks and resistance on both sides. But the image of the man who gave his lungs so an alien beast could breathe free became a symbol of what was possible when compassion crossed the boundaries of worlds. For Taiho, breathing would never be easy again. But each difficult breath reminded him of what truly matters, not just surviving, but making survival meaningful through sacrifice and understanding. In the end, that was the greatest liberation of all.